what's funny is I remember these fragments. I remember not understanding the purpose of a variable. If there's a thing and you assign something, why would you assign another thing to it? So for some reason, I understood constants. Like constants made sense to me, but variables didn't. Then maybe I'm 11 or 12. I've gotten into the Amiga at this point. The Amiga, by the way, still perhaps my favorite computer of all time. I mean, this is one of those things where you're like, people get older and they're like, oh, the music from the 80s was amazing. To me, even as someone who loves computers, who loves new computers, the Amiga was this magical machine that was made by the same company that produced the Commodore 64. And I got the Amiga 500, I think in 87.
Look at this sexy thing. That is a sexy machine right there.
This is from an age, by the way, where computing wasn't global in the same sense. The different territories had different computers that were popular. The Amiga was really popular in Europe, but it wasn't very popular at all in the US, as far as I understand it. It wasn't popular in Japan. There were just different machines. The Apple II was a big thing in the US. I'd never even heard of Apple in the 80s in Copenhagen. But the Amiga 500 was the machine that brought me to want to try it again. And you know what's funny? The reason I wanted to try it again was I remembered the first time to learn, and then there was this programming language that was literally called Easy Amos. Mm-hmm. Like the easy version of Amos. I'm like, if it's easy Amos, how hard can it be? I gotta be able to figure this out. And this time I tried harder. I got into conditionals, I got into loops, I got into all these things, and I couldn't do it. And on the second attempt, I really got to the point of like, maybe I'm not smart enough. Maybe programming is just not, maybe it's too much math. Like, I like math in this sort of superficial way. I don't like it in the deep way that some of my perhaps slightly nerdier friends did, who I had tremendous respect for. Like, I'm not that person. I'm not the math geek who's going to figure it all out. So after that attempt with Easy Amos and failing to even I don't even think I completed one even very basic game. I thought, the program's just not for me. I'm going to have to do something else. I still love computers. I still love video games. I actually, at that time, had already begun making friends with people who knew how to program, who weren't even programming Easy Amos. They were programming freaking assembler. And I would sit down and just go, the moves and the memories and the copies, how do you even do this? I don't even understand how you go from this to Amiga demos, for example. That was the big thing with the Amiga. It had this wonderful demo scene in Europe. It's this really interesting period of time in the Amiga's history where you had all these programmers spread out mostly all over Europe who would compete on graphic competitions where you could probably bring one of these up on YouTube. on this thing, they would make these little almost like music videos, combining some MIDI music, combining some cool graphics, and they would do all of it in like 4K. 4 kilobytes, that is. Not 4Ks of revolution, 4 kilobytes of memory. And I just thought that was such a cool scene. This was obviously pre-internet. It was even pre-BBS, bulletin board systems to some extent. It was you swap your demo software with someone else by sending them a disk in the mail, like the 3.5s. And I was enamored with that whole scene. I was enamored with what they were able to create. And I just wanted to be a part of it, even though I kind of didn't have any skills to contribute. And that's how I got into running BBSs. I didn't learn programming then, and I wouldn't learn programming until much later, until I was almost 20 years old. The bulletin board systems existed in this funny space where they were partly a service to the demo scenes, allowing all these demo groups to distribute their amazing demos. And then it was also a place to trade pirated software. And I ended up starting one of those when I was 14 years old in my tiny little bedroom in Copenhagen. I had my, at that point, Amiga 4000. I had 3 telephone lines coming into my tiny room.
Nice.
Which was funny because, again, I'm 14 years old. By the time I was installing my 3rd line, you had to get someone from the telephone company to come do it. I get this guy, and he's just looking around like, what is this? Why the hell is a 14-year-old having 3 phone lines into their tiny little bedroom? What's going on here? Why are all these modems blinking red and black and making funny sounds?